Every young person has his or her expectation about marriage. I want a wife that will submit to me. I want a husband that will stand in the gap for the family in all aspects. What are the biblical expectations about marriage? Are there wrong notions that people overlook before getting into marriage? Stay tuned as we learn more on today's episode of the Marriage Classroom.
Good evening. Thank you so much for being in class today. We continue with the marriage classroom. And as we said earlier, this is about all of us learning. A classroom where nobody ever graduates. She has our regular teacher has a way of saying that even when people get into marriage, it is the only institution where you get a certificate before you graduate. So you get a certificate at the beginning. Now the learning starts immediately after. And therefore, karibuni sana. We want to have, as you can see, our topic today, no one to marry. It's a question, no one to marry. And I would want to give you two portions of scripture, because we are doing this from a scriptural basis. And I'm sure that you are aware of Proverbs 18 verse 22, which states that he who finds a wife finds what is good and receives favor from the Lord. He who finds a wife finds what is good and receives favor from the Lord. And Proverbs 31, that one is, Proverbs 31 is, many times you find Proverbs 31 woman, yeah? But the beginning starts by a wife of noble character, who can find? It's a question. A wife of noble character, who can find? She is worth far more than rubies. Is it rubies or rubies?
Rubies.
Rubies. Depends on the teacher who taught you or never taught you. Okay, rubies. She's worth much more than rubies. So, but it starts with a question: a wife of noble character, who can find? And I believe that this one here we can also take it the other way around. That a man or a husband of noble character, who can find? And or he who finds a husband also finds out what is good and obtains favor from the Lord. Right from the beginning, when God created man, after he had created man, he had first of all created everything else, and then he created man. And by man, he says, the Bible says this: male and female created he them. So by man, we are talking about the genetic sense of the word. He said, when he looked at that, everything that he had created, and he said it was very good, including starting the first family. It was very good. So when we are asking no one to marry, we will be having some kind of discussion on this. And therefore, I want to start by asking the first question. Or maybe before you say the first question, I don't know whether you have realized, during the past generations, like the generations of my parents, they used to get married below the age of 20, especially the girls, below the age of 20, very early in life. And during our generation now, people are getting married mainly in their 20s. Mainly in their 20s. Right now, we are having people going into their 30s and sometimes in their 40s and not married. And that is why we are asking no one to marry. It is not a statement, it is a question. Is it that they don't have somebody to marry, or what? So the question that I want to ask here is this: what are the young people looking for in a wife? In a wife, before we go to a husband, what are they looking for in a wife?
Okay, for me, currently right now, as young people, I think we are kind of in a situation where we are in a dilemma, because like you said, in your time and our time, we are still trying to grapple between the two generations. Your parents tell you this is the ideal person, like a woman should be in the house, do this. But now you're meeting somebody who, on the other hand, has another worldview. So right now I can say that what we are looking for is somebody who can be both. You see, somebody, a woman. Yes, we have grown up with women and we have seen them in classroom, so we'd expect them to do some things, not like the past where a woman would just sit in the house. And then on the other hand, there's the aspect of being a woman, you know, the aspect of caring for the family also. So if they can be able to intermarry both, being a person and an individual who recognizes themselves and still taking the role of a woman, I think that is a wife for me.
And now tell me whether I'm getting you right, that it's like the current generation is looking for somebody who is both a career woman and a homemaker.
Precisely, somebody who can manage their career and their life, who has a life in short, and then somebody who knows how to handle a family. If you can be able to manage both of them, I think you're good.
Okay, very well. Somebody else who is, even the sisters can share this, that we have known that these men are looking for these things. What are the things that people are looking for in a wife?
Yeah, what you call wife material. What is that wife material?
And I'm sure you have heard of the term wife material. Eh? So what is this wife material?
Okay, from what I've heard outside there, men want women that are submissive, and they submit, and they also want women that are learned, in that they can contribute even to the ideas of the family, maybe to the career of the man, and so forth. Yeah.
Okay, two things, learned
And submissive.
submissive.
Yeah.
Wewe umesoma lakini unanyenyekea.
Yeah.
Very well, very well. You had something that you wanted to say, Cynthia?
Actually, I wanted to say about submissive, but again, there's this term that is trending and it's like commonly used with men. Like they don't want to marry a feminist, somebody who is like when they hear somebody who is a feminist, you find that men will avoid that person like a plague, and I don't know why, but I don't know if that term is being misused, or it is just some imagination or idea that people are having about women that they're advocating for something. So you find that men will not want to marry such a kind of a person.
So let's interrogate it very briefly. Eh? What is our understanding of the term feminist? Because Cynthia has brought it up, that men don't want to marry a feminist. Maybe those of us who are here, what do you understand by that term? Yeah, Mwendwa.
Actually, it's a new term to me. I wish to understand what a feminist is. I don't know.
Oh, very well. That's why we are interrogating that. Yes.
For me, a feminist is somebody who advocates for the rights of women. Actually, most people take it in the wrong way. There are actually male and female feminists. You can be a man and still be a feminist in that you're advocating for the right of women. What I think she means is the toxic feminists, you know, the toxic feminists. They have an ideology of how a woman should be. That is what men run away from like a plague. Yeah.
Those who use the term, what a man should do, even a man should do it even better. A woman can do it and even better.
So basically what Cynthia then we are saying is, somebody can be a feminist but not necessarily, a feminist is not about gender. It's about rights. It's about human rights. I think, but when it is taken to the extreme, I think that's the better. When it is taken to the extreme, and that's what Mwalimu was trying to say here, it can actually be toxic also, isn't it? Any other thing that has been left out? Yes, Hope?
I also think when you're talking about feminism, men tend to maybe misinterpret it. When you're vocal, someone starts saying that you're feminist. When you're vocal, you know what you want. You know, like, don't treat me this way, treat me this way. And they tend to say that you're being a feminist, when in real sense, women have been known to be suppressed, that you should be quiet. You shut up and you listen, but now when you start talking, you know, you are vocalizing what you want. This is what I want. They tend to say that you're feminist when you're not actually.
Or maybe instead of using the word vocal, when we can say when you are assertive.
Yeah, exactly.
When you are assertive, they think this one here is you don't touch even with a 10-meter pole. Okay. Any other thing that we have left out on what people are looking for in a wife? Yes.
To add on what has already been said, I think men are also looking for women who have the right beliefs, the right mindset, and maturity. Someone who has who reasons in the direction of a woman as a person who cares and who is also productive. Men are looking for a woman who they want to lead a life with them, and they are going to be productive in their lives. They're going to help them carry on the vision. So I think that is one thing that men are also looking for in women.
Okay. Now, one of the things that I'm hearing over and over again is one, people who are going to be productive, people who are learned and probably having a career, and therefore, I think we can sum it up. I don't know whether we can sum it up this way, that somebody who is going to contribute to the economic welfare of the family. Is that what we are saying? Okay, let's go to the other side. Now, what are women? We were looking at what men are looking for in a wife. What are women looking for in a husband?
Yeah,
What kind of a husband?
Material.
Now, husband material.
Material.
What is the notion of the husband material?
Okay, from my gathering,
Yes,
from what I
that
have
is.
heard,
Uh-huh.
yes, women tend to navigate towards men who have things they didn't have when they grew up. So if a woman lived in abject poverty, they will prefer men with money. But if they had money and they didn't get to have that love and, how do I put it? That love and acceptance, they tend to navigate towards any man who would give them that love and acceptance. So it's possible to find someone a woman even funding a man's life and all of that just to get the love and acceptance that she never had when she was growing up. And there are others who are ready to trade anything to get the money they never had when they grew up.
Very well. I have heard this term, gold diggers. Is it applicable there?
It is on one end,
Uh-huh.
it is applicable.
Okay. Very well. Mwendwa, you seem to have had something you wanted to say.
Wow, thanks a lot. From my side, what I've gathered on what women are looking for in us, Esha said one of the things that affect the decision they make is how they have been brought up. You look at your father and the things that he has been doing to you people, and you're like, I really hate this. I want somebody who's different.
Mm-hmm.
So the way you've been brought up by your parents, even the brothers ahead of you, will affect your choices.
Oh, okay. And that is very critical. By the way, that's very, very, very important. That some people are looking for, I would want to take it the other side also. Probably they are looking for their father in the man that they want to marry. So they are looking for somebody with the character of the father. If the father was loving, caring, providing, and so on, and they want to find somebody with the character of the father. But at the same time, if the father was this person where he enters the house and everybody scatters, they are looking for somebody with a totally different character. In fact, and that is one of the things that actually also affects marriage. Even when people are married, the very day that you see if I thought your father was brutal, and you see your husband being angry the first day, not necessarily brutal, angry, you know that hell has broken loose, and it can scare the hell out of somebody, and the relationship starts probably going south. So thank you. I think the issue of looking for somebody who is either similar to the father, but you also brought in another significant thing, the significant males, like brothers, or somebody who is totally different because you never liked it. Okay. Any other thing that people are looking
And
for?
the other part of it is that, as she said, is also true on the negative, which is quite unfortunate, where you may find your father was not actually a good man, or even a brother was not a good man. But the problem is, being young, we have this idea that an adult is always right. So that if your father is a drunkard or even a woman abuser, you find that somehow, because you don't want to say dad was wrong, there's that always the guilt that I can't say dad was bad. So you almost go tend to also look like you are looking for another man who has the same habit and bad habit. So you may even find a girl who has come from an alcoholic home also tending towards an alcoholic or even an abusive person, and that is very unfortunate. And that's why it's the other way. It's the same way as we say, you can look for the kind of person you saw in your father, or the opposite of the father, in the positive also and the negative.
Okay. Cynthia, you had something?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
For us ladies, maybe I'll talk about 3 things. We look in a man. Number 1 is a God-fearing man.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, I'll talk about intelligence. Like personally, I'm attracted to it. And number 3, I will look at someone who can help me accomplish my purpose. Somebody who knows that Cynthia has a future, and I'm willing to help her achieve the whatever she wants.
Okay. There is something, thank you, Cynthia. And those are very, in fact, you have started answering the next question. Because we wanted to ask this question. We are talking about the general public out there. But what should a Christian young person look for in a future spouse? And one of them that you have mentioned is God-fearing. And I think that one is critical, although we will also interrogate, what do we mean by God-fearing? But the other thing that I had, and I don't want us to lose it, is somebody's mentioned somebody who is mature. I think we can also talk about somebody who has a high emotional intelligence, isn't it? Somebody who is able to mature in the sense that they are able to control their feelings. They are able to control their emotions, so to say, and to properly manage their emotions, Now, since Cynthia has already mentioned that to us, maybe amongst those things that we have said, could you look at some, or even others which you may not have said? What are some of these wrong notions that people have I would want this kind of a person, my kind of a person, my kind of person. But what are some of those things that you think that they are wrong? When you look at the things that we have mentioned, what are some of those things that you think, this one here, there is a question mark on it? Yes, this is, not Moffat. Dominic, yes.
Yeah, I think the issue of submission, the issue of women submitting all the time to their husbands, it should not be that way. Because everyone can make a mistake, everyone can think in a wrong way. So if they always submit to their husbands, it might lead to bad life. Yeah.
Maybe what the requirement, the submission, is actually a biblical requirement. I think it is the wrong notions that people have about submission. Where submission is agreeing with your husband in everything that they say, in everything that they do. I think that one is what is wrong. Okay?
Just to add on about submission, you see, the Bible describes a woman as a helper. Just like in the Holy Trinity, when the Holy Spirit is described as the helper, it does not mean he's least, okay, or inferior. So I think usually that is used as a way of, it is ascribed to women as in maybe inferior, and that is the notion that people think that is what submission means, but it is not. I think submission is just if you're able to agree in a way that is respectable to your husband as the leader of the family. Yes.
Very well, very well. I saw a hand somewhere. Yeah, Cynthia again.
Again, maybe talking about the roles, like the role of a wife and the role of a man in the house. Maybe men are looking for somebody who can cook, can do all the house causes, and then for us ladies, we are looking for a man who can provide. I think when it comes to that, sometimes I tend to think that we are African and sometimes we cannot run away from our culture. Though I tend to think that when it comes to the role of a man or a woman in the house, maybe if you guys you can agree that this is what you are going to do, then you can stick on that. But just imagining in your mind and then marrying someone and then you just without talking it, maybe it can bring conflict. And maybe I'm not for the doing all the roles in the house alone, and rather the man is with that me. So I think that is also one thing that we miss when we are looking for someone.
You find, and I think that's very critical also, that we have this notion, that traditional notion, that we are looking for somebody who is learned, somebody who is an intellectual, but at the same time, especially those who have been to some level of education, we are looking for somebody with equal or probably just around the same thing, a level of education, but at the same time, we are looking for a traditional woman in that particular person. You both of you come from work, the man takes the newspaper and the remote, you know, and crosses his legs, and then the wife comes later. And here amefika nyumbani kwanza, the wife comes later, and after they have come later, they are wondering, you couldn't even make a cup of tea, you know? And of course that conflict starts, you know? Basically what we are saying is that, thank you, Cynthia, the roles. We are looking for somebody who can carry out a certain role, and the very moment that we find as if they are not. Remember, they spent as much time in school. So if they, and are there cases where the man might end up being better in some of these household chores than the wife? But you find that the man is employed as a chef in a hotel, but does not cook at home, because cooking at home is cooking, but in the hotel ni job. Anyway, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, like maybe someone could be looking for either just a benefit, not just because you want a partner, but just because of a benefit, because this person is, you know, financially stable, like. Yeah.
You know, that is very critical, and that has brought about in our times. We never used to hear of terms like sponsors in the universities and colleges, but now we hear it every now and then. Why? Because this person is relating with a person, most likely even in marriage. And because they are getting the benefits of money and being given, being taken for outings and so on, they forget that they have a life and this person has a life. And then when they come out, because now they are used to this kind of life, they want somebody who will continue doing what, quote unquote, the sponsor was doing. And I think it's a wrong notion. One of the questions that we asked in our earlier programs is that somebody like, say for example, I'm not saying there is a relationship, somebody like Mwendwa here and Cynthia, they start a relationship. Or maybe Mwendwa is saying, I want somebody financially stable. And more often than not, we get married to more often, it's not a rule, we get married to somebody of more or less the same age, plus or minus a few years. So when we, Cynthia, let's go to the part of the Cynthia, based on what she was saying. You're looking for somebody who is financially stable, yet you are with Mwendwa in the same class. When did he become financially stable? Unless sometimes, sometimes it's good to look into the vision. One of the things that those of you who watched the November series of Prayer Festival, Apostle Kimani at one time said that watu wengine wanafikiri the wife aliangukia, lakini mimi kumbe ni mimi niliangukia. Did you hear that statement? Because he said my wife was already driving and I did not have a car. So when it comes to relationships, I think that notion of having that we must, the man must be higher in terms of earnings or in terms of everything. But I must add here, as a man, you must have a vision and you must be hardworking. Because again, a woman does not just want to come to you and you have no vision. There is a vision that you want to accomplish, and probably she helps you to achieve that.
True.
It is very critical.
Yeah, that is the challenge that I think what is happening in the young people, where these days when you have the relationship is as strong as money is around, or seems to be financial stability. Once there is, or even fame, once it dwindles, there seems to be like somebody gets second thought. But you realize that is something that we are losing on the way. If you learn it also from people that have been there, and that's why it's important we have such programs. And you also ask for information. I keep saying, vijana muko na ujuaji, lakini hamuna ujuzi. Si ni kweli? Ujuaji ndio muko nayo mingi, lakini ujuzi hamuna. Na ujuzi ni kama, you can even ask, how comes you have stuck this long? And then we'll say, just like maybe you had the story of Apostle. Now, how many of the young generation, especially the ladies, and even Christians, would just get married to you accept a man who is not driving, or you have already stable, and this man has only maybe a vision. That is when you have looked deeper than the outside. What I say, you look for the content, not the container.
And at the same time, let's be fair to women too. Maybe there is a higher proportion of women who are looking for somebody financially stable. But we also have men who are looking for women who have money.
The Bentens, as they are calling them. Yes.
Yeah, money and wealth. And probably they are much older women, and they are looking for that, to be hooked into that, because somebody is trying to run away from poverty. I think somebody mentioned something that you did not have. You want it right now. They are trying to run away from poverty using the issue of marriage. But I think that is some of the wrong notions. Okay, now we go to the next question. Unless, you wanted to say something? Let me not close that out.
Okay, I had another wrong notion that I think has been going around for long. There are people who say that the person who intends to marry me should take me the way I am, should accept me the way I am. I think there are two sides to that statement.
Yes.
There is the positive side where you should really be accepted the way you are, but also I think it is a statement that indicates sheer lack of responsibility.
Or even arrogance.
Yes. People really don't want to get out of their comfort zones, but they want people who have what they don't have to come and marry them the way they are. Forgetting that the other people have also put in the work to become who they are, that they are even desiring to have their peace, their money, and all of that. But they don't want to put in the work in themselves to be able to become what they want in a marriage partner.
That's I like the ideas you are mentioning, because it's very true. Because somebody saying that you should accept me the way I am, there are some aspects where somebody cannot change. Like, for example, you know the height of my wife. So now, if I was to try and demand that somebody taller, I'm sure, I don't think that would have been fair, isn't it? Because that is not something that somebody can change.
Or keep trying to make me taller.
Yeah, or somebody who is dark and you are looking for somebody, you like everything else, but that tint, if only it was not there, you know? I think that is wrong. That would be a wrong notion. But when it comes to mindsets and worldviews and behavior, I think that all of them can be able to be changed. You accept me the way I am, in the sense that I place things anywhere, every time. I think demanding that is a behavior that can be changed, isn't it? A mindset that this mindset which is very limiting, the limiting mindset that you cannot be able to. You only, if you go to a hotel, for example, somebody starts reading. You know, all of us were taught in school to read the menu to read from left to right. When you are reading English, Kiswahili, and so on, you read from left to right. You go into a hotel, and somebody is reading from right to left. You know, and it's like, and it's not that they don't have the money. They have the money, but they are looking at it from, they cannot, if you watch again that series, they have also said one thing. You go to a hotel, and even when you look at the menu and what they are charging, if it is chips, you even start counting chips, then the number of pieces, and you are even asking yourself, supposing this money could even have bought a whole debe of potatoes, you know? you cannot enjoy life simply because of that. And secondly, people are not ready and willing to change their mindset to earn. And I think that to me is a wrong notion. Thank you for bringing that up. Yes, another wrong notion and another one, yeah?
Allow me add on something that you've just said about providing the responsibility of the man and the woman. There is this wrong notion that the man should always provide. Even if the lady has money, let me just quote what they say. They say, changu ni changu, chako ni chetu. It should not be that way. Everyone has a responsibility to provide.
Very well. You remember sometimes back in one of the episodes, we talked about the issue of premarital counseling. And we mentioned that one of the things that people have to go through is the issue of financial responsibilities, roles and responsibilities. And I think when it comes to the issues of finances, once you get married, all money belongs to the family, including the man's money, including the lady's money. They belong to the family. And that is something that people sometimes find. That is one of the challenges that people find in marriage. You wanted to say something?
To add on that, another notion, wrong notion, is about maturity. So you see some young people, they match maturity with age. But I must say, age does not connote maturity. First thing, for you to be mature, you have to be responsible for your own actions, living a life independently with God, and another one, living as in looking beyond the future. So you see most of the people, even here, when you ask someone, maybe coffee, unamuuliza unataka kuoa lini, anakuambia maybe nikifikisha 30 years. Wengine wanasema maybe 27 years. So you must see maturity as, for you now to marry, you have to be maybe spiritual maturity, social, emotional, financial, and even domestic maturity. So that is another thing that young people don't understand.
Very well put. The only part that I would want to understand a little bit is domestic maturity. Yes. I understood the financial. What do you mean by that?
So when we say domestic maturity, for example, maybe the wife is the one that is working. So you don't expect the wife to come from work and cook for you. As a man, you are supposed to live that notion of tradition, like I can't cook when wife is around. I can't maybe take care of a child when the wife is not around. Yeah.
Oh, very well. I now understand. Now, having said all that, I want us to now look at this question. What should Christians be looking for in a husband or in a wife? What should you as a Christian look for in the person to marry? I think that is very critical now, because all those are worldviews. Yes, this is Annette. Yeah.
What a Christian should look for in a man to marry is, apart from God-fearing, I can say that a man who is a fighter, someone who can stand for the family, and even when there is a misunderstanding between them and the whole family, by extension, he can stand for the wife, especially when the wife is being intimidated, for example, not going back to the family and supporting the family, even if they're wrong. He should be someone who he just fights for the family and stand for it for the better part.
Okay. Yeah. Am I hearing somebody who is a protector? Yeah? One of the roles of the husbands is a protector in the family. Yeah? Uh-huh.
Not actually a bouncer, fighter.
Not somebody who is really fighting. But there is an aspect of it which I still want to take the term fighter. As a man, and we are talking about a Christian man who is a husband, I think this person should be able to spiritually engage for the sake of the family. You know, having that fight for the family, praying for the family, praying for the wife and the children and everybody. Somebody who will do that. I think that is very critical. Yes?
I think for a Christian also, for one to look, and especially I'll talk in the side of as a lady, I would look for a man who's a leader. Like he understands the authority that God has bestowed upon him. He leads the family to, you know, spiritual, like he's not that man who will leave the family to go to church alone and just stay in the house. You see, like he be a leader in every aspect, physically, spiritually, yeah, every aspect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Did we have yes, please?
Oh, I wanted to add something in the priestly aspect, like this spiritual aspect. I once read an article that said that for women, they should understand that the pastor is anointed for a whole congregation, but the husband is anointed for her, specifically for her. So if you ask me what I would look for in a man is the priestly attribute, to be able to stand in for the family in the spiritual places, just like you said. Yes.
Any other
Now
person?
that's the men say what they would want in a woman. Now it has been on one side.
Yes.
Yes, the women the ladies are the ones who are saying what they would want in a husband. Now, the gentlemen, tell us what the godly qualities would be looking for.
Yeah, so what we want, what we're looking forward to have in our ladies in future, one is faithfulness. Faithfulness in marriage. Someone who's not jumping up and down here and there from so and so, and it's weird. Number two, obedience. Someone who can listen to you, who can buy what you're saying and reason together with you. Again, someone who's understanding. There are things that arise in a marriage, and someone will tend to question, what are you trying to say? What are you trying to mean with this? So you take time, reason, understand me, because we are men. We are limited. We are not like angels. I think I'll make mistakes. You'll tend to understand, then come, we reason together, and then find our way forward. Yeah.
Okay, I believe that even our viewers out there, you can also be able to mention some of those things, you know, on especially those of you who are watching this over the social media. I'm sure that you can also be able to add some comments down there on some of the things that people should look for. Christians, and this time we are on Christians. What should we look for? And maybe I was about to ask another question. Are these qualities in the church? Are they there? Do we have these people in the church? Because we asked no one to marry. But I would want to also say, because we are talking about Christian and we are talking about Christian worldview, the Christian, right from the beginning, whether it is for marriage or for whatever, two things that we need to point out. Number one, our dressing, whether it is men or women, should have three aspects. It should be decent. Number two, it should be appropriate. And it should be not catchy. You know, I'm looking for the word that goes modest. Yeah. It should be modest. It should be decent. It should be appropriate. So appropriate in the sense that what you go for in when you're doing your house chores there, it's not the same thing that you go with for worship to church. That's inappropriate, isn't it? Just like, for example, we have men of God who go swimming, but you cannot come out of that and start walking in the streets in that swimsuit, because at that particular time it will be inappropriate. Secondly, I think these are conversations that people should have about the manner of dressing before they marry. I think in the interest of time, the last comment.
Yeah, I will talk of something that is so wonderful even to us, that is love. Yeah, so even as you see, no, like seriously, even as you see, it's something that even God himself instituted. So like love, and having to understand that, you know, understanding the love who is God, and even, you know, spreading it out, because it's like representing God, or doing as God says, love them, like love one another. as I did. So I feel actually, because in understanding, that's love. In faithfulness, that's love. In obedience is love. In the responsibility roles is love.
Somebody whom you love. It's not every other brother, every other sister who can become your spouse.
Yeah.
But it should be somebody that you actually genuinely love. And I would also want to finally add this, that one of the aspects that and approaches that people are doing without in the church sometimes is going and looking at somebody that never appeared in our discussion. I don't know why. The physical appearance. Looking at the physical appearance, this girl with a figure 8, and this man who is tall, dark, and handsome, and as much as that may attract you, it should not necessarily be the only thing. We have talked about, we didn't interrogate much the issue of God fearing, but I think it is somebody who is totally sold out to God. As a Christian, many young people have made mistakes because they went to somebody simply because they saw them in church without understanding their values. And that is why it requires probably some bit of time to understand that. So thank you very much for your contributions. I hope it has we have learned something, and even our viewers, I hope you have learned something in the course of this discussion. It can continue on the social media platforms. Thank you. God bless you.
Stay tuned for the next lesson to get an understanding of dowry, wedding and marriage. To get the notes of today's lesson, visit www.mbcimedia.com/TMC. Catch the repeat of the Marriage Classroom every Tuesday at 10 p.m.